ถอดหูฟังไม่งั้นกูไม่ได้ยินตัวเองเลยช่วยไม่ได้ช่วยไม่ได้เดี๋ยวแป๊บนึงHello Hello can you hear me Clicked as soon as I saw the notification. Let's go. Hi, Simon. How was your Halloween? Oh, it was nice. We don't really have Halloween over here. But me and my girlfriend sculpted some like little figures, like little pumpkins and stuff, out of air dried clay, and that was really fun. Still haven't painted them. They're drying, and they'll probably be fully dry tomorrow, and then we can paint them. So after Halloween, I guess, but you know, still counts. Uh, do we just hop in? I guess we just hop in. I don't know. There's nothing else to do. Uh, so I want to design a digging creature, a tunnel digging creature. Uh, we already have the sluppies, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the sluppies. I think I want to redesign them, or if not, add another style of digging creature. So, uh, the idea is the trenches are gigantic and constantly changing and stuff like that. And I thought it'd be really fun to have some sort of creature that is used to dig the tunnels and stuff. And is like a threat within the trenches, you know? So that's what we're gonna do. Let's disregard the sluppy for now because I don't know if I'm still not sure about my feelings about them. But we're gonna design another digging creature and things that I want to accomplish with the creature. First of all, I had this image in my head, and it's a very simple image. I find it very cool when there's like a T junction in a tunnel. For example, this is like over the shoulder perspective. This is like a dude standing in a tunnel like this. I really like when there's a creature moving past uh the screen or like blocking a tunnel, like it's digging in this direction and like carving a path along this and blocks off the tunnel. And it's just this long like bus of a creature that just keeps going and going as it like digs to the side. I like that a lot. I don't know how fast it should go, but I like that visual a lot of it like moving past a passageway like that. Which means it has to be long. That's like the only requirement is it sort of has to be long to accomplish that. So long. That's it. That's all we need to stick with. The rest can be anything. So I think the best way to start is to explore all of our options. Let's think of what types or what style of digging. I think I yes, the style or the way it digs is going to be the most influential part of its design, right? The way that it digs. So, how dig? We could go. I mean, let's knock some very quick ones off. We could do claws like a mole. We could do a drill head of some sorts. We could do some sort of acid, maybe. We could also do. What if the creature is a sentient tank with a drill of sorts? Well, we're not going that far yet. We're just exploring what types of digging there are and which one seems like the most interesting to us. Could be like a sea mammal that used vibrations to displace dirt and also as a sonar. Vibrations? We can sort of. Yeah, I can see that. Sort of Dune style, like the Dune sandworms, kinda. You use disintegration magic, yeah, but I feel like there's more fun. So if we do let's separate a whole different category, which is no, any of them can be magic. So disintegration. This would mean that there is still debris left. I like the idea, but my brain keeps going to the classic claws. Well, yeah, but that's the fun of like exploring it is like we can find other things that are also interesting ways to approach it. Um, I was also thinking it could compact the dirt. Basically, its head would need to be designed in a way where through magic or whatever means, instead of just digging the earth and then pushing it behind itself, it compacts it to the top and or in a circular thing to the walls of the tunnel. There you go. So the walls of the tunnel become like denser or well compacted. So there's like barely any debris left over from the digging. Eating, yeah, you could definitely have it eat. And also, we need to separate out another one and ask, what is it? I don't want to close any of the options. So it can be anything. Is it, well, obviously, it can be a creature. It could also be a construct. It could also be a mix. It could be a mix of the two. We could make it some sort of cursed creature where it was modified to be able to do this. It could also be uh like bio augmented in some way. Or its body is like a drill to the whole thing. Hmm. but instead of the lower half snake, it's like a worm? Digging it could be blind. Creatures are very powerful. Yeah, I do think. Okay, I do think I want it to be blind. We're gonna add that to the requirements. No eyes. I'm thinking about something. Hold on. Um. So I think whatever method we use, or whatever way or whatever method it uses to dig, should leave debris. And I think the way it disposes of that debris would also be an interesting thing. Like, how does it just keep digging forward? That could influence its design quite interestingly. I can sort of picture it being like water pressure, not water. Sorry, that's just me adding the chat, reading the chat. I can sort of picture it being like a U shape, like this, so that whatever it's digging, it can sort of push underneath itself and leave the tunnel with like a center line of debris behind itself. That could be a possibility. Water pressure. Yeah, some sort of water pressure might be good. What if it's some construct like a train? Yeah, I'm thinking I kind of find the idea of it being like a mix of the two appealing. I just having it be one or the other seems kind of boring. I like one that imitates the other though. Like an organic creature that looks like a machine, sort of like with the if you give it like a head that looks like one of those like three-headed drills or something. Or I also like a construct that tries to imitate a creature the same way as like the dwarven automatons. So it could go in that direction. But feel like a mix would be interesting where it's like you take a creature that already exists and then modify it to make it even better at what it does in whatever way, like bio augmenting it, cursing it, or maybe like adding some sort of apparatus to it that increases its digging power. A creature that uses tools? Tools. How would it use tools? I'm just thinking at the moment. Like what? Like the turning a whale into a blimp. Okay. What about big old teeth? Chewing its way through the rock. Well, yeah, that is also an easy way. What's the coolest way I can think of? Big turtle. What if the creature had pipes? And when it eats, the pipes explode. I can't I can't even picture that. Oh, you know what would I don't know why, but I'm thinking because of this drawing, I think I'm thinking of like a giant clam for some reason. Some sort of clam. Because like clams dig, right? Like those giant like gooey ducks or whatever they're called. Kind of makes me think of that. I just think it'd be a fun, interesting mix of if it's like has a rigid portion that's like a shell, and also because somebody referred to or mentioned turtles, like a rigid portion, like a hot dog basically, and then like the soft portions on either side. That'll also give like nice purchase for any sort of additional machinery or stuff like that that's added to them. And then we could have like little legs on either side, like a caterpillar. That kind of looks funny. Yeah, like mineral shell. How would it? Yeah, I think a clam could be fun. I'm still thinking about the digging though. Like the digging's the main crux. I just don't find claw digging that interesting. Neither do I find eating that interesting. Acids like kind of eh as well. Vibration like the that does seem very fun. Vibration and disintegration is kind of the same idea where the goal of the thing is that it breaks it down first and then munches it. Could be like a worm who eats and then shits it out on the back. Yeah, 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 like shits it out. But I'm thinking like how it shits it out. Maybe it compacts it on the inside. What would the point of that be? It could like compact it into like a log. Like it turns the what's in front of it into dust and then compacts it into like a really dense log for some reason. Or we could again go with like the U shape, which I sort of find funny. Is like the whole thing has a dent in the bottom that's lined with like little arms, maybe. Poop brick. Yes, poop brick. Thing is, when it's like the image I had when it's moving past a tunnel is like I want there to be something that you're seeing move past, right? If it's just like a flat shell, there's not much to look at. Like I want the side view of it to be like weird when you see it going by somehow. I can Oh, the practicality is completely none of my concern. I can sort of picture like little wheels being added to the underside of the shell portion to hold it up. The world is disabled by default is insane. Well, I'm just thinking if they like engineered it to be this gigantic, I can sort of see it like growing past its own weight, uh, and them like adding, supports to it to keep it together or keep it up. Segmented shells. Oh yeah, good point. We can have segmented shells. So this is going down the creature route. So creature, clam, segmented shells. Sort of like, what was it again? An Anomalocaris. How how interesting can we so what if they I feel like I want them to somehow automatically be able to reinforce their tunnels. Like as a byproduct of them digging, the tunnels are reinforced. Maybe not to um, that would lend itself to the compacting idea, but goo that hardens. Yeah, something like that. Like some sort of excretion that maybe sticks to the walls and like holds them together. Oh yeah, yeah. We could go okay. There's those types of sea worms that like eat dirt and then spit it out in those like with mixed with like some sticky saliva or whatever, and they make like a little underwater like tube for themselves that they hang out in. It's these things, these that have like the sort of feathers on the end. Those guys. Some types of those like make little dirt little dirt tubes for themselves. So I can totally picture that, so that this thing eats what it does in front and then like mixes it with something inside of itself, turning it into like a concrete of sorts, and then just pastes it on the walls and it hardens. Maybe make it like a dung beetle so it rolls up debris into dirt spheres. Dirt spheres would be fun as well. Hold on. Where do I how dig? I guess how dig debris? Dung beetle. Poop. Or also reinforces trench or tunnel. It shits concrete. I mean, if you're gonna make a creature that's supposed to dig tunnels, why not make it shit concrete? I think that'd be really interesting. You know how that'd be interesting? If, like, that makes it so there's breakable wall. Like, if we're thinking about it game mechanic style, there's breakable walls in the underground tunnels of the trenches because it paves over. Like, if it digs through an already existing tunnel, like T-bones it, then it closes off those two openings so that there's basically like a brittle breakaway wall in the way. It has horns like a stag beetle to dig and toss debris. Some sort of horns is fun. I like that. Horns. Like toothpaste. Yeah. Roadways, but like all the way around. But then how does it I feel like that would require a lot of fluids. This thing's thirsty. This thing's real thirsty. To do different jobs, to move and do stuff. Yeah, that could work. Alright. Yeah, constantly fed fluids. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is like you just keep feeding it liquids so it can keep going. Justify having what? I missed something. It should probably be connected via canvas hose to underground water reserves, which would justify having a working crew stationed on top of it to monitor the health of the digger. Yeah, I do want there to be a level of maintenance, but also not too much, because the whole point is that, like, when they get left abandoned, they sort of just do their own thing and start, like, tearing up the trenches by just adding more tunnels and shit. Like, I want them to sort of leave behind. You know when you see like some termites on wood, and they don't dig all the way into the wood. You see it on the surface because it's like it's dug like this. like that, right? And then the termites go here, and then they close off the rest with like pulp and stuff. And it's really interesting. I like that sort of look. And I was thinking that there would be a type of worm or termite inside bunker cities that would cause trouble because it can eat concrete. So like a concrete termite. And then you'd see all these like little squiggly pathways uh through the concrete. And I was thinking it would also be fun that that termite is used as like a biological weapon. If you can somehow keep the thing from doing the digging and deploy a bunch of them into an enemy bunker, it would cause a lot of structural damage. I think that would be fun. Would the pathway make the place more mana rich? No, I don't think so. What if, okay, we're thinking about it as like one giant creature. What if we do a lot of small creatures? Not like just send a bunch of them and have them go haywire. I mean like if we can if they only get to a certain size, like they can't get them any bigger. So what they do instead is they just strap a bunch of them to each other to make like a living drill head. Like these drill heads, where it's like little spike bits like this sticking out of it, like that. But instead of that, it's just a bunch of small creatures stuck into their own little compartments with their heads pointing forward, and they do the digging. Like a hive mind, like a forced labor, slavery more than a hive mind. I mean, I think in their natural net, like if we're talking about like the trench termites in their natural habitat, they'd have like a they'd have like a queen and stuff like that. But this is just stuffing them into the head of a machine and forcing them to do the thing they're doing. You know what would be fun if the way these creatures work is that they have a guide. I'm just spitballing. If there's like a planning bug and then the workers, and so the planners send pheromones in the direction that they're supposed to dig, so the rest dig that way. It could be fun if they figured out how to harness that pheromone or like produce it, so they use that to tell the bugs where to go. That might be fun as well. A rat king? Yeah, like yeah. So creature construct mixed rat king. Rat king but bug. But bug. There you go. I think that's fun. And then you can sort of I can imagine them being able to be swapped out. Cause then instead of you know what? I think it is a really fun idea because you don't want to have the whole operation be relied or rely on the life of one creature, right? If that thing dies, you're kind of stuck because it's a huge thing. What are you going to do? I guess you could ram another one just straight through the previous one. So you just have them go the same way with a new one. But I can imagine it being a lot more useful if you have a bunch of replaceable ones. And so when one of them dies or whatever, you literally just take it out of its socket and then just replace it with another one so you can just keep going. I can see, you know what? I can sort of picture like a honeycomb. I think somebody did suggest like honeycombs or hive patterns when they were talking about when we were talking about the thing in the back here, like the concrete poop. I can picture having this sort of net, or not net, but these like rows of honeycomb esque uh pods like this, and then socketing one of the creatures into each of those. And I really like the idea of them being quite long, because if they're quite long, then we can have a side profile where you see each of these like compartments with them with their head poking out like this, right? Head, 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 head. And then their bodies could like need to be their bodies need to be routed the same way as like cables, where you like need to find a way to add an input to each of them. So it's like worm cable management on the backside, which is just I think that just be nasty. I want some sort of excuse to have like a mix of bio and industrial, where it blends their bodies uh uh into the construct somehow. That frog with the holes in its back. Oh yeah, yeah. Basically like that, but on the front. I can sort of picture that. Yeah, and we can have the front be bowed a little bit like this. I do we think it spins? If their heads are very constricted, it depends on how constricted their heads are, I guess. We could have them like how far do we want them sticking out? I think if we have them sticking out a little bit, it's gonna look nasty, which is great. So like they're sort of like reaching for dirt. Like fucking desperate to get a munch. They'd have to be far enough apart from each other that they don't eat each other, like accidentally. So I'm picturing that it does need to turn, probably. If it doesn't turn, there'd be like blank spots that get left. Spinning is good. Yeah, you know what? I should have just asked myself what would be cooler, spinning or no spinning. And the obvious question is spinning. Why would it not spin? If it can spin, why wouldn't it? Diggy diggy hole. Indeed. Indeed, diggy hole. Oh. The water reservoir hoses, Simon. Yes, yes, yes. We do want the water hoses as well. Hold on. Mix, construct, Rat King. Maintenance. Maintenance is cool. That nobody's ever said that, but maintenance is cool design wise. So maintenance is we have the swappable heads. Then we also have the water lines. Do we still want the mucus thing where it turns mucus into like concrete walls? Is that still, because I do like wooden struts in tunnels, right? I don't want it to actually be the solution, because if it is, it's gonna look very plain. Like the tunnels are just gonna be blank cylindrical walls, and I don't really find that fun. Maybe the body can compress it to the side. The other path. Oh, wait. Yeah. If we're going like mechanical as well, we can have like pistons or like hydraulic presses like pushing the walls outwards to tamper them or to tamp them into solid sheets. That can be fun. Or we can take some inspiration from tunnel bores and have a whole like conveyor belt mechanism that slots concrete slabs into place and locks them into place so that after the thing leaves, it leaves like a circular concrete tunnel. Mucus could be adhesive to the wood pellets. Okay, hold on. I'm thinking, okay. How do termites do how do termites build? I'm curious about that. By mixing soil, saliva, and fecal matter, yum, to create a mortar-like substance that they use to construct their nests. Okay, and I'm guessing they do that with their mouth, right? That's some mouth activity to do that. But yeah, look, this would be so fun if we have like a bunch of these little things like just gnawing at the end of like a drill head. Yeah, maintenance crew shit is always fun. If it just perfectly sustains itself, that's not fun because then, you don't get anything more out of the concept. But when you can find an excuse to make it more complicated or like tedious or have there be extra steps, I like that. So yeah, how do these so where do these guys get their saliva? I mean, no shit, they no shit, but I mean like they're mostly like in the desert. From their food or did they find a water source? How do how do termites get water? That might be a stupid question. From the soil would they eat? Right, that does make a lot of sense. Internal moisture sources like what? Leaky pipes and condensation. Thank you, AI. What? Maybe they could be like mushrooms and extend mycelium roots to strengthen the tunnels and dig. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't think we can definitely just make the like I think I'm too stuck on trying to make one creature do everything. It'd be a lot more fun if just multiple things interacted or like work together to accomplish the task. That can be multiple creatures or multiple components. So let's not think like, oh, this creature eats and then excretes the material and makes the walls and does everything because that just makes it more simple, meaning more boring. So we can definitely like have a different thing do the reinforcing. We already have red root. We can do red root if we want. Maintenance, reinforcing. We could do red root. What about a fungus hive mind thing? Human mind connected to the shroom roots. Ugh. How would that work? So, is the waste of the worms getting dealt with? How's the waste of the worms getting dealt with? There definitely needs to be mine carts. There has to be mine carts because that just adds more complexity to the underground tunnels, which makes them more fun. And then also, this like thing with them being modular drills basically makes it so we can have multiple sizes of these. I can imagine one that's like if how big do we think these creatures are? I don't want them to be too small because if they're too small, then there's no point in designing them. Like you're not going to see each individual one and it's going to be too tedious to work with. I'm sort of picturing the size of like a forearm. Like they need to be pretty big. 3 thumbs a pop? No, no, like a forearm. Like you gotta have them be pretty big to make an impact. Or like maybe even bigger than that. Cause I'm thinking the most common size for them should be almost human sized. Like the diameter of the front of it, I'm picturing kind of this big. Like that big. I can see that being reasonable cuz it's like you can crouch down and get into the tunnel they made. It makes their maintenance not too bad cuz they're still not like massive. And also if you cut away like after they've dug their main thing, if you cut away the corners, you pretty much get like a nice square hallway. A little short, but you know, you gotta crouch like in a storm drain. Yeah, kinda. I think like that would make sense. Like you if you have some more time, you can definitely like dig out the top here and make it a little more accommodating, you know? But I can see this size being good. And I'm just picturing uh like soldiers carrying the drill heads and them being like this big, right? That's what I'm picturing. Is like um the little replaceable drill heads creatures are that big. That's like what I'm picturing is like you can get a crate of them pretty reasonably and they're sort of the size of like an artillery shell or something like that, like carryable. And also at this scale, I think you don't need a minecart to like haul out all the dirt. I can picture a simple digging operation for like any old tunnel using these things would be this thing in the front, drilling away, and then it's pooping out like dust or like debris in a line, and then there's like just a line of people like shoveling it out. So instead of like hitting away at rocks, you'd instead just be shoveling dirt. Right? That sort of makes sense to me. Bobbit worms. I do like bobbit worms as well. Let's write that down for creatures. I spelt that wrong. It's fine. But yeah, I think this big is good. And the head being that. And then, yeah, you know what? I don't think we should have a one-trick pony. I think, oh no, I don't think we should have a jack of all trades. That's what I mean. I don't think we need to have a jack of all trades where the creature can do literally everything, right? That's not needed. I think it just digs. And then we go with the same gist of people have to reinforce the tunnel, they have to clean up the edges, they have to add the the red root to like reinforce it and stuff. Antarctic, so they make them eat what they want them to be made of, so they make a specialized tool. What? They can inflate with air to gain size. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Can you make them look like Antarctic scale worms? Let me look those up. What the fuck is that thing? What even is that? I've seen this before, but oh, what? Ew. Ew, ew, ew. Look at this. What the fuck is that? That is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Wonderful. I've added a bunch of shit on the wrong layer as well. There you go. Fixed. It's wonderfully nasty. Cute. Oh, what? Oh, look at the head. Look at the tip. And the fucking fiberglass legs? Disgusting. I know. Okay, you know what I'm thinking? I like the turning head idea, and we can take inspiration from tunnel bores. And so if we're thinking that all of them eat, they yum yum the dirt or the stone, we can have all of them poop into one how am I going to draw this to explain it? For example, this is them like in a row, right? Behind their butts is a little compartment like this with an opening at the bottom like that. And then you literally just have a central chute or like conveyor belt like this behind them, so that when this is turning and they're pooping, right? When it gets to the top, it just drops their poop into the chute, the poop chute. So you can get all their poop into one collective funnel, and then have that like get conveyored out somehow. Then we still need to think about locomotion, because this thing can't move on its own. These creatures can't move. We can have it be like automaton legs. I think would be cool. Like some simple legs though, really simple. Like shit spheres. I mean, would be kind of fun if they shit pellets. And then you just have like a pile of pellets. Shit spheres are real. Maybe the spheres are real. Okay, what was I gonna say? Yeah, we can have some really simple automaton legs where it's literally just like this. It's just the strunt beast leg. I forgot what a strunt beast leg looks like. Um, hold on. I think it's like this, maybe something like that. I have no idea. I forgot. But yeah, like this on the side, and then just copy it over multiple times. Because of the tunnels being smooth, there wouldn't be any necessity for any like up and down movement. Oh, we could have all of these on like a separate swivel as well. So they can turn like this, like the whole assembly, and we just copy paste that like this. And just have that like slowly march its way over. We can also just make it even more simple and go with this one. Uh where it's like this. And it literally just walks like that. Like just turns this and then goes tuk 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 tuk. That might be fun too. Treads can work too. Treads, locomotion. Hold on. Move. Question mark. We could do this. We could do that. We can do treads. There is a worm strump beast. Oh, cool. Perfect. Could these be used to make trenches? 100%. I can definitely see these just being used to make trenches as well. And how would you turn it? I'm feeling like a like a U bus, or I don't know what those are called. You know, with the flexible section. Literally, just if we're just piloting their head, just have a flexible section like this with some like pistons to help turn it uh different degrees or like different directions, and then just smush the head in one direction or the other, and then it'll turn the whole thing eventually. Bendy bus, yeah, the bendy bus, kind of bendy bus. What else? I'm still okay. Okay, do we think they just eat it? Are we still we? It does just eat it, the dirt or the stone. There's nothing extra about that. It might like disintegrate it in a magical way or whatever. Yeah, I do want them to be magic creatures in a sense that they use magic to enhance their eating. But I'm just asking if that's what we're going with. Water pressure, compact horns, disintegration, vibration, some sort of acid. No. Hmm. Thinking. Yeah, they could just magic to disintegrate it. What if they use that? So the what am I saying? When a material reaches max saturation, it breaks apart and releases all the mana inside of it, right? So what if like they use that to their advantage and the creature somehow has like a head that injects a very fast burst into whatever material is in front of them, and that destroys it, because it exceeds the max saturation of that, which would that would be work. It would work because it abuses um how quickly mana distributes distributes through a material. So they do it so quickly it doesn't, or and in such a small concentrated location that it doesn't have time to propagate throughout the material, which then just like pops off a chunk of it. Like if they're digging through stone, they're just like jettisoning uh some mana into the stone, and that doesn't have time. What if it's like controlled depth charges? Like, you know those when they drill a hole into concrete or like into stone and then put like an explosive inside, but instead they're like jettisoning a small jet of mana into the stone, uh, which then makes this stone like in this tiny area reach criticality, and so it breaks, which also like breaks an amount of the chunks around it, so like slabs of it fall off like this, and then they eat those, you know, and then the mana gets released again because they didn't spend any mana. They just forced mana into the material too quickly for the material to handle. And then they can just take the mana back in and then recycle it. So only a tiny bit of mana gets lost through the process. Huh. Yeah, so yeah, like a pistol shrimp, but instead it's like blasting mana into stone. It, you know what? That could be why they're attracted to, like, if we're going with the bunker city concrete ticks or concrete termites, it could be why they're attracted to concrete or stone structures, is because stone is more susceptible to their way of digging. Like dirt doesn't really work the same way. Maybe dirt has like a different max saturation, or it just doesn't crumble as much because it's not as solid, right? So like them jettisoning micro like explosions into the concrete or into dirt doesn't work as well because it's already granular, right? But this is like breaking it apart because it's more solid. We're cooking here, yeah. So it's like that's why they like the bunker cities. That doesn't mean they can't dig through dirt. I think they'd still be able to dig through dirt, but it's just they do prefer like stone and stuff. It's a mana sponge. Oh yeah, there you go. You're right then. Yeah, like they they are bad at top layer digging, like the top surface layer dirt. They're not as good as digging through that. They can, but it's a lot slower. Like it takes a lot more mana and a lot more time for them because it's less efficient. The dirt soaks up a lot more of the mana as they do the digging. Yeah, oil is very high max saturation. That's just my excuse for why. Uh, so yeah, hold on. Let me write this down somewhere. Prefer stone slash concrete concrete. Uh, because dirt organic soak up mana Okay. I like that. I like that. I like where it's going. I'm still thinking so their head. Okay, so hold on. We've made a new option. We've made how to dig. Use max saturation. Micro, how do we call them? Are what are those called? Depth charges? I don't think they're depth charges, right? What are those? Drill a hole and then put some explosive in it called. Maybe for the whoa. Maybe for the proboscis, it sucks the mana from the dirt, then makes a mana bubble with said man and it what and explodes it. I mean there isn't much mana in the dirt. That's the issue. Blast charge? Yeah, micro blast charge then. And I don't think this is big, right? We're talking about a very small explosive. We're not saying like you can hear this thing coming from a mile away because it sounds like somebody's exploding a tunnel. This is on the scale of like a little bug head, right? And obviously at this scale it'd be a lot larger, like this size, so the depth charge is like that big. But I'm sort of thinking about it sounding like popping, like loud pop rocks. Or oh, you know those little uh these things, the little things you throw on the ground and they go pop, that you get on like the little paper like teardrop things, throw on the ground and they go pop, like that sort of loudness I'm thinking, but like muffled. So so it's like constantly just like little popping sounds going on, and that's what gives them away in like the bunker cities as way is like you might hear some like really faint like little popping in the distance and you're like, what the fuck is that? It's like, oh, it's these little bastards digging through our walls. But doesn't the explosion disperse the mana? No, it releases the mana. The thing about a material reaching max saturation is that it forcefully releases all the mana it held. That doesn't expend any of the mana. Obviously, that's not a perfect process. Like, some of the mana is gonna get lost in dissipating into the parts of the wall that didn't explode. Like here, around here, some of it's gonna stay uh in the wall, and then some of it's going to get lost in the air around them. But it's a lot more of an efficient process compared to casting disintegration, for example. But it requires a very specific tool, I guess, which is what they were evolved to do. They were evolved to basically do very quick, fast injections of mana into material. So fast that the mana doesn't have time to dissipate the mana across its surface or area, which means it releases it forcefully and breaks it apart. Do we have anything like uh, a cannery for the tunnel diggers? A cannery? What's a cannery? For toxic gas stuff? What's a cannery? Yeah. But I like this idea because if you think about it, on the sides of the walls, it could be that there's like a sort of pattern that emerges where you can see, um I would assume, how would it look? I would assume it would sort of look like scales, like this, on the sides of the walls of the tunnels. Because it's popping the circle here, and then a plate breaks off, and then moves a little further, and then another plate breaks off. So it's like these circular indentations where all the little like slabs of stone fell off. Like smoke detectors. What you realize there's no air when people die, and then you go, oh, okay. Uh, the canaries. Wait, tiny bird. Oh! I know what you're talking about, right? I did hear about this. Where it's like miners brought like little birds in with them because they could detect like low oxygen. Right? Wait, can they? I don't know. I don't remember if it was if they had like if they were more sensitive to it, so it alerted them to a lack of oxygen, or if it was literally them just putting the bird forward, and if it fucking falls over, they're like, oh shit, not enough oxygen, and they have to leave. Yeah, I feel like it makes sense if they have that. They definitely need something like that. But yeah, I think we basically have the gist of the concept down. It's it's a mix of a creature and an automaton where the front half is giant is tiny, not tiny, but fairly big captured bug creatures that use micro blast charges to explode parts of the walls and then eat them and then poop them out onto a conveyor belt. Uh, what, okay, what am I missing? I like this thing. Yeah, I like it too. The rest is literally just me executing on the idea properly. Oh, we haven't considered one type of locomotion. I think this could be cool. What if we have legs that are revolving? We could just have wheels in a circular pattern like this, on the outside of the body, like this, and then just have little nibs like that. Or we can have uh how would yeah. This we can have this like a piston thing going on with like a little foot on it. So when this thing spins around, it like it does this whole thing, right? And then when it comes up here, it like comes out like that. So it's like doing a circular motion like this. And then we can have those like all the way around it. Cuz I'm thinking have those come out of these like little slots, like little legs that are basically like hooks that punch into the wall and then move back. Uh and that'll look kind of like the spikes on a botfly. If you know what botflies look like, they're like these little nasty critters that have like these backward spikes on them and they dig their way into skin and stuff. And this is actually exactly what they look like. I think I just killed it in the illustration. Look at that. That's a botfly right there. But yeah, it's one of these things, and it has like tiny little hooks that go backwards, and it's a nightmare to get them out because the hooks are going backwards. So I feel like that'd be a really cool visual is to have like little spikes like that that sort of actuate outwards, with like a very simple turning wheel at the bottom. So it goes like that, and then it goes like that, and then it goes back in. So it's just like constantly chugging forward. ROM, I guess. Yeah, I think ROM. I think this is very ROM-esque. Forcing the creature. Yeah, we haven't really talked about uh how the creatures are getting forced to dig. We definitely want something like kind of cruel, right? Like, yeah, we could do some sort of. I don't think squeezing them would get them to. We could do the rat thing, where you know that like torture method where they put like a candle behind a rat and have it like eat through a person or something like that. We could do like something behind them, like put a little fire behind them or something for them to go, no, and they try to like eat away, so that's why they're like digging forward. Or we could do we could do a we could do a Hassan, right, and just do like a little shock collar. Yeah, little electric collar. There you go, a little electric collar around them, and when they're not doing it, they just press the button. Yeah, like the dog. Yeah, there you go. I got my reference to what's hot. What's a hot topic at the moment in there? Carrot on a stick, just like have a little this very complex mechanical device, and then just have a little stick with like something they really like on the end. Uh, that could work. Take advantage of their existing behavior. Yeah, I think the most interesting thing would be if we exploit because if they're bugs, right? I feel like bugs are predictable enough where there might be some sort of exploitable mechanic to them that we can have them just dig. Just a pointy stick to poke them in the butt instead of flintlocks. Yeah, sure. Just a pointy stick in the butt. The light, yeah, like the light thing in moths, kind of. We could go the pheromone route, like have some sort of pheromone. It would be kind of fun to have like a queen bee kind of situation where there's multiple of these smaller ones in the front, and then they have like a main one that holds like a queen. Uh, and then that one gets its pheromones like rerouted to the front to tell them like dig there or something like that. Yeah, in front of them, anything in front of them would be hard. By the way, we're just discounting anything that's in front of them, unless it can be. I guess it could be like sprayed out of the front. Like if we have like little holes in the front that spray out something that they want onto the surface in front of them, right? Like in between them, in the gaps in between them, it goes and like sprays the dirt. Doesn't sound quite cruel enough. It doesn't have to be cruel. It doesn't have to be. You can use spider corpses as a grappling tool by pumping air. Oh, right. Oh yeah, I have seen that video actually. You could cricket thing where they can't jump out of the jar because over generations they just assume they can't jump that tall even without a lid. Well, yeah, but how would we train that into them then? What do they eat, by the way? What do these guys eat? What do termites eat? The fuck do termites eat? Wood? They just eat wood? There's no like nutrients in concrete. I don't think they'd be eating concrete. Maybe have the queen be shocked to respond to her pheromones in distress. In distress. I can kind of see that. Like a distress pheromone would definitely be a call to action kind of thing. And imagining these things like stuck in their own little chamber, they would just be constantly digging forward. Basically, they don't have any other way to the queen, and they smell that it's in that direction. So that's where they're going. Yeah, they do build their hives in the concrete. I'm just thinking if they only eat concrete. I don't think well, I guess I don't have to think that much about it. We can just say, yeah, they eat the fucking concrete. They have some microbes in their body that lets them digest concrete and get some form of nutrients out of them. I have no idea what you'd be able to get out of concrete, but they figured it out. Um but yeah, like some sort of distress pheromone I feel like makes a lot of sense. Ants rather than termites. I mean, the thing is, like, we can mix and match things. It's fantasy, so it doesn't matter. We can just say they're termites that use pheromones, or I'm just saying termites because that's the closest thing I can think of to what I want. But they don't necessarily have to look like termites or be related to termites in any way. We can have them be tiny miniature moles if you know, for all I care. They can be tiny moles. Don't use pheromones. I fucking know. I'm saying it doesn't matter if they do or not. We have fantasy on our side. Leafcutter ants and grow a mold of fungus that grows in damp stones. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot actually. Uh where were we? Swappable heads. So the one creature we got to go concrete termite. Con termite. Uh uh, uh grows fungus on damp stone. I like that a lot. Farms fungus. I mean I can't deny that fungus is great. So it's very understandable that the chat is fungus pilled. Fungus is good. Fungus is very good. Okay, so they eat like a type of fungus that they grow and cultivate on damp stone. And maybe they can also digest some stone. Who cares? A little bit of both. Fungus is then used to spray the wall. Where to dig, maybe? Yes, we could do that. Do we do that? I think we do. Because then that also sustains them. They eat as well, which is nice. So yeah, like a fungus little fungus spray. Fungus. And we can have those be the same way as the red root scrolls, where it uses magic to like burst grow uh roots to reinforce. This is just like tiny bursts of mana that are used to like grow the fungus in like little bursts onto the wall. Would it be a lot of a little spray? Have you considered making them produce large amounts of saliva to help with digging? Much like much like how rock drills use water to help with erosion. I mean, we already sort of made it so they do pop rocks. So they don't necessarily eat the rock. Or they do eat the rock, but they are not using any part of their body to scrape against the stone to dig it away or excavate it. They have a very precise needle inside them that's like jettisoning high concentration mana into the stone, causing it to explode. So nothing's touching the stone. So they're turning it into dust and then eating the dust. What if like those creatures move? They leave behind a layer of slime that mixes with the rock dust to produce some sort of concrete or asphalt. We did think about that, but I do think I like that there has to be some work done after the digging machine. I don't want them to be a jack of all trades because that's just not fun. I think having them do one thing and then have a lot of other like maintenance. Maintenance is like the thing we want. We like maintenance. Is if there's more steps involved in the creation of a tunnel, it makes it a lot more tactile and a lot more just interesting. Like instead of just being like, okay, we let the tunnel thing go and it does everything. It literally just digs the tunnel, it creates the walls and then done, and then we just have this bare, stupid looking tunnel. Instead, it's like we have the digging thing go, then it excretes some sediment, or it excretes some debris behind it. We shovel up that debris. We have to push it out of the tunnel ourselves. Then we have to reinforce the tunnel, so we keep like we have a bunch of like wooden supports and like the red root scrolls at hand, ready to like reinforce the trench or the tunnel after the thing to not make it fall apart, to make it not fall apart. So yeah. But yeah, I do like the fungus spray idea, just because it would also mean that there's a bunch of that fungus in the tunnels left over as well. You can imagine like that fungus gets popped off the concrete when they're exploding it, right? And also they don't eat all of it perfectly. So it means that there's this like thin layer of like these. I do think it should be white. I like the idea of white fungus. Or what color do you think it should be? But like you can see like this little thin layer of wall mycelium whatever stuff going on. And it would also justify when these things go loose that they can sustain themselves because there's a bunch of their food still in the tunnels, like growing on the walls. What? How would you remove the small ones from their tunnels? What do you mean? I mean, if one of them goes loose and just disappears, you can't really do anything about that. You just have to go, oh shit, and just leave it at that. Piss white. What? What? Like a puffball mushroom? Yeah, maybe. I'm sort of thinking more of like a thin blanket first, and then maybe some sort of buds or like structures form from that blanket. But there's definitely going to be like a thin mycelium blanket looking thing that sort of covers everything. Do you think it would compete with red root? I don't think it's a magical plant. The same thing, the same as red root. It doesn't consume mana to grow itself faster. So I feel like they could probably coexist. More like mold. Yeah, sort of more like mold. Yeah. What else are we missing? I don't think we're missing anything. So, locomotion like a botfly with like little hooks that actuate outwards. Spinning head, it secretes into this thing. They're supplied with mana through some like uh lines, like metal wires going to them. Then there's the fungus that gets outwards in the front. Fungus to be used in alcohol making. Yeah, that could be fun. Fungus used in alcohol making. It would have to like turn sugar into or like something into alcohol, wouldn't it? Yes, nailsmith. What's nailsmith? Give them a mantis shrimp claw to break up the rock that gets stuck. I do want it to be their head, but yeah, it is kind of the same idea as a mantis shrimp. Instead of blasting compressed jets of hot water, it's blasting mana. I'm Nailsmith. Oh, right. You are Nailsmith. Hello. Yeast, yeah. Um hmm. Yeah, yeah, like sort of yellow slime mold kind of thing. Besides that, we're pretty much good, right? That is the full idea. The rest is just okay. I'm still thinking about the spraying the fungus out in front of the drill head to like encourage them to munch it. Because it could just be a mixture. It could just be a pump instead of like some magical means. Make it as simple as possible, and I feel like they'd literally just be growing a supply of it, and they'd have these tanks that are just filled with like a mixture of like water and some of that fungus, and they just spray it. So it's just like a pump, spray it and just out like a little jet. It wouldn't need anything like magical to grow the fungus on the wall. For just literally just get the fungus and just throw it at the wall with some pressurized tubes or whatever. Yeah, some sort of pump. So that's also gonna give like more things to draw. So we have the drill head. So let me like map all of this out. Not like officially what shape it's gonna be, just the idea. So drill head, tiny little insects or tiny, big creatures that explode stone by doing micro explosions. Then they have little poop shoots, um, so that they can get poop on a conveyor belt that's internal, that drops their stuff behind so it can be like picked up. Then this spins, and then there's tiny little holes here that spray out fungus that probably is being pumped by so then there needs to be like a pump system. So there's a fungus, then a pump that pressurizes it, and then like a valve that. And then we also need a magic generator for all the locomotion and also fueling the thing. So hold on, let me make its body first. So its body is like this, and then it has rings of these little tiny legs all around it that is used to walk. And then we need like a big boiler to fuel the whole thing, which is also going to be fun because then we have like a back portion that's like automated, or that's like a giant mana boiler to fuel everything. Yeah, like that. And then the soldiers have to. So the soldiers' jobs are to. I still can't draw. Thank you. Shovel the dirt that gets excreted from the machine out of the tunnel. Then they also have the job of like cleaning up the edges of the tunnels with like pickaxes and stuff. Clean up the edges of the tunnel, and then reinforce it with wood or whatever, and like the red root if they want. So that's the whole process. Is weird worm. Oh, and then also it can turn somehow with like some pistons here and like a flexible neck. And then you'd also need like a way of controlling it. Like who's controlling this thing? You'd probably need like some sort of panel on the back to like maneuver the thing, most likely. I mean, inhaling fungus is probably not a good idea. So I feel like it's bound to give some sickness to inhale a random fungus. But yeah, that I think that's good. I think I like that. And then you'd need the maintenance would also include replacing the heads, so there'd need to be some sort of notifier that the heads aren't working anymore if one of them dies or what. Yeah, I like that idea. Oh, and also like ventilation, for the humidity in the trenches would be really high, or in the tunnels. Humidity would be a really bad thing, or would suck. Electricity mages would be fun. Yeah, I mean, Shabby and Zedeka came up with an idea of like a lightning mage, so I'm totally down for lightning mages to be a thing. I think having the generator be separate would be a good idea as well. You wouldn't want the thing dragging a whole ass generator behind it. And I don't think the generator would be installed in the thing, because I'm sort of thinking the generator, like a mana generator, would be a very common thing and should be modular. So it's more like the worm is separate, and then you plug a mana generator that you wheel behind it after the thing. Yeah. But yeah, I'll play around with this off stream. I think that's enough. I literally just wanted to like brainstorm an idea with you guys, and it seems like we came up with a pretty good idea. So let's see how that goes. I'm gonna play around with it, and if I get stuck somewhere, I'm just gonna stream again. You'll probably help me figure out how to not be stuck. But for now, I'm really happy with this. I'm excited to like try and play around with this and see what I can do. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna disappear now.